Hey everyone, today we're picking up after Paul's been in prison. The next morning, the legal authorities sent the police to the jailer with the order, release those people. So the jailer reported this to Paul, informing him, the authorities sent word that you're both to be released. You can leave now. Go in peace. Paul told the police, even though we are Roman citizens, they beat us publicly without first finding us guilty of a crime, and they threw us into prison. And now they want to send us away secretly? No. They themselves will have to come and escort us out. The police reported this to the legal authorities, who were alarmed to learn that Paul and Silas were Roman citizens. They came and consoled Paul and Silas, escorting them out of prison and begging them to leave the city. Paul and Silas left the prison and made their way to Lydia's house, where they encouraged the brothers and sisters. Then they left Philippi. So this is what I like to call passive-aggressive Paul. Right? He's been illegally beaten and imprisoned, and the authorities now want to release him without making a scene. And Paul is not going to let them off the hook. Because here we get this surprising revelation that Paul is actually a Roman citizen. Now, in the ancient world, it was a little bit different. You weren't a Roman citizen just because you were born in the Roman Empire. It was a special status that only certain people had. Right? Plenty of people were not, and somehow Paul was. And so he's taking advantage of that. Now, what's interesting here is that Paul writes to this actual same Philippian church the famous line about how our citizenship is in heaven. So, which is it, Paul? Are you a Roman or are you a Christian? Finding the balance between our allegiances is tricky, and it's something we all have to pay attention to all the time, right? Are you an American or are you a Christian? And if you don't see any conflict between those two, you should probably read up a little more about American history. Now, unlike us, Paul doesn't have any allegiance to Rome, I would probably guess. But he shows that it's a smart move to use our earthly status for kingdom purposes. He uses his Roman status to shame these Roman authorities. He's basically beating them at their own game and showing, this is what you say you do, and you don't even do that. Right? You can call them to their own standards, the world standards, as a starting place, and see the way the world often doesn't live up to it. And so I think there's a lesson here to never reject what can be used for kingdom goals. And yet at the same time, maybe even more today, we have to pay attention and keep in mind, which kingdom are we actually serving? Where does my allegiance really lie?